Name's Carlene, and I'm doing my career profile on a children's developmental disabilities social worker or service coordinator, someone who is there to protect the needs of the child, to protect the needs of the family, and to ensure that they are able to get the services they need and that they know what's available in the area that they live for their child. I actually have a neighbor who does this, and I talked mostly with her. Most of my information is from her. She does work for the state of Idaho, and she has worked there for many years in many different capacities. And maybe being that we have a smaller state, a smaller area here, she does many things. Her job title does overlap. She happens to be bilingual, so she also acts as an interpreter for some families when she is not actually coordinating any services for them. So she told me the best she could, and I did do a little bit of research online as well. But this is something that I was actually very interested in and have already been introduced to, because I do have a child with special needs, and I do know what it's like to be a parent that doesn't know what's going on, that doesn't know what's available. And having that information and having someone assume you know nothing and share everything with you is extremely invaluable. I ran across many people who just assumed I knew what I was doing, or assumed that I knew what we could and couldn't do, and that just wasn't the case. So I see the value of a service coordinator and someone who knows the system and knows what's available and what you do and don't qualify for. So to me, this is a extremely important position, as I know all are. And your working environment in this kind of position is dealing with a lot of families. You do have a lot of paperwork, you do spend a lot of time in a lot of staff meetings, but you spend time with families. You spend time in their home. You spend time and you find out what it is they need, what it is would benefit them, because you know about all the programs and you don't want to weigh somebody down with options that aren't going to benefit them. So it's important that you know what the programs are and what the programs do and who they benefit, and you spend time with the families and you let them know what's available, and then you set it up for them. And that's the most important thing, is you don't just give them the information, you do things for them. You set up the appointments, you set up the classes, you get them signed up for anything they need to be signed up for, you get them the paperwork that they need to sign for any kind of governmental assistance, or any programs through the government require lots of paperwork, and you do it for the families, and then that's less stress on them. And you find out what sort of supports they need. Do the parents have any needs outside of the needs of the child? Do they, if somebody in the home smokes, are they interested in quitting smoking? What programs are available for that? You find out if they're in a position that they may need any kind of help with food or money or paying their utility bills, and you find out if there's any abuse in the home or anger management that needs to be addressed. And it's a touchy thing to have to do, but you find out how to help the family as a whole, and in turn that helps the child. So you're there for the child, but helping the family helps the child. So you do everything, and you help everybody. You make sure that everybody knows that they're loved and supported, and that the best place for the child is with the family. You just want to make the family the best that they can be. There's support groups that you can make the parents aware of, support groups. There is respite care that you can make parents aware of. There are so many programs that your biggest thing is to keep up on programs, keep up on the government laws, make sure that you know what's needed. I had a lady that spent a lot of time making appointments. She had a child with special needs, had a lot of physical problems, and she spent so much of her time juggling appointments and being on hold for hospitals that when she got a service coordinator, her service coordinator actually took over for her and was able to make appointments and provide the transportation for these appointments, because they didn't have a car and they needed a way to get everywhere. And it took the time that the mother was spending on the phone trying to coordinate everything, and it gave her that time back to be with her child because the service coordinator was able to take over. So it requires a lot of work, but you get to know the families very intimately, and that's something I would like to do. I wouldn't like to sit behind a desk. This position would definitely be for someone who doesn't mind going into other people's homes, doesn't mind getting to know them very well, and then doing the legwork for them, doing some of the difficult stuff that finding all the information out, things that are maybe be at the service coordinator's fingertips, but would be very difficult for a parent to find. The stressful issues in this is keeping things prioritized, because every family with a child that has special needs feels very immediate about their needs, and you're going to have different families and have different urgent needs, and you're going to have to prioritize them, and sometimes people may get angry with you, and you have to do what you know is right, and you can't share with any one family why they came second, that maybe a different family had higher needs, more urgent needs, and you have to be very careful about keeping everybody's privacy and respecting everyone in their privacy and making sure that you don't share anything. But it's hard to be friends with people, not get to talk about your friends, but it's very, very rewarding job. And your benefits, in my friend's situation that works with the state of Idaho, she has a very good retirement, and she has good health insurance. She said the pay raises don't always come. They've kind of had a pay raise increase freeze here in Idaho for a year or two, I think it was, and she hasn't seen an increase in a little while. But the benefits haven't been cut, the retirement's still there, and she's hanging in for the long haul. And so the benefits outweigh the pay. I know there's private places you can go to, she said, that will pay you more, but the benefits aren't there. And another benefit is working with the state of Idaho would be that you get all the paid holidays. You can kind of banker hours and banker holidays, which is a good thing. And the tasks that you do are invaluable to the families that you're doing them for, and you do need to have at least a bachelor's degree to do this. My friend, who happens to be bilingual, only has a bachelor's degree, and she is doing very well with where she's at. She's, here in Idaho, it's very well for her to be doing. She's about $22, $23 an hour. When she signed on at $18 an hour. And at first, she did not have her 40 hours a week. And as she continued to get experience and gain a caseload, she does work 40 hours a week now. And they do not like to pay overtime, so she does not do overtime unless she does it on her own time, paperwork and such. But she's actually pretty happy not doing overtime. She likes having just that set 40-hour week. And there are people that she works with that are her superior that do have a master's degree, that it is required to have a master's degree. And once you get into the PhD level in her particular profession, there really is no room for PhD. You're really above and beyond at that point. So really, bachelor's degree is fine, and if you want to be a supervisor, you can have your master's degree. And some of the most important things is to have in this career is to be able to verbally and communicate good, and to communicate in writing very well too. You want to make sure that this kind of information does not get lost from going from place one to place two, because it's important information to have. And you got to make sure that when you put yourself out there, when you're explaining things, that you are understood, and that you do have the personality, and that someone can ask questions. You don't want them to feel like you're so rushed that they can't stop and say, I didn't understand, or could you tell me that one again? So it's important to just be patient, be calm, be willing to answer the same question more than once, and to make sure that what you're saying makes sense to everybody, and to back it up in writing, because busy parents of kids with special needs sometimes need that written reminder. That's a really big deal. And my source was my friend Martha, who is a service coordinator for the state of Idaho. I also looked up servicecoordination.org, and then I checked out some careers on the Indeed.com and CareerBuilder.com, and they kind of just backed up everything my friend had told me. So this is my information. Thanks.